I found out my wife was cheating on me. On the night of my 45th birthday, in the very house I built with my own hands. 3 weeks before that day, the first crack in my world appeared. It wasn't loud. No screaming. No shattered glass, just a name. Nathan C. It flashed for barely a second on Vanessa's phone before she turned the screen down. Elegant, controlled, almost like she'd practiced it. We were having dinner, candles, salmon, our usual Thursday ritual. She said she had a work call and offered a half smile, the kind you give strangers when you want them to stop asking questions. "Client emergency?" I asked, keeping my voice casual. "Emerson case," she replied, grabbing her coat. "The Emerson team never calls this late." She paused, for just a second. "Not Emerson, a new client. I told you about them." She didn't. "Don't wait up." Click, click, click. Her heels echoed through the hallway like gunshots in a church. Then the door closed, and the house fell back into silence. That night, curiosity outweighed trust. I opened my laptop, logged into the shared iCloud account we hadn't touched in years. Location services were still active. The blinking blue dot pulsed from a boutique hotel downtown, far from her law firm, far from Emerson. I didn't text her, didn't call, just stared at the screen, breathing slowly through my nose. Something broke quietly inside me. She returned the next morning like nothing had happened. Lipstick fresh, hair brushed, blazer crisp. She even brought me coffee. "Sorry about last night," she said. "Mediation dragged on. We had to meet off-site." I nodded. I sipped the coffee. I smiled. And something deeper inside me shifted. Not pain, not anger, clarity. In the days that followed, I became an observer of my own life. She started wearing new clothes, carrying a new perfume. Yoga 3 nights a week. Classes I was never invited to. Her phone never left her hand anymore. And when it buzzed, she turned her body slightly, like shielding secrets from sunlight. I said nothing. I cooked dinner, kissed her goodbye, listened when she talked, and watched. My 45th birthday arrived. I came home early, spent hours preparing her favorite dish, rosemary salmon with lemon potatoes. I even lit candles. She arrived late. Perfect makeup, new designer purse, the scent of something expensive I couldn't name. "Happy birthday," she said, leaning in with a smile too smooth to be real. She kissed my cheek. I tried to kiss her lips. She turned her face slightly. "It's just a headache," she whispered. "I might skip dinner tonight." She went upstairs to lie down, and I sat alone at a table set for 2. The candles flickered. The salmon got cold. 11:42 p.m. My phone buzzed. No contact name, just a video file. Attached message. "Happy birthday. Your wife is mine." I tapped play. Our bedroom, our bed, Vanessa, Nathan, together, laughing, touching. Her voice cut through the screen like a razor. "You're so much better than him." My blood froze. My lungs forgot how to breathe. And yet, I didn't flinch. Not then. Not even when the video ended and the screen went dark. She slept beside me that night, her breath soft and steady. I didn't wake her, didn't confront her, didn't scream. I just lay there, eyes open, staring into the dark, because in that moment, a man named Lucas Harrington ceased to exist, and something colder, sharper, quieter took his place. When I woke up the next morning, the house smelled like vanilla and betrayal. Vanessa was already in the kitchen, humming softly, flipping through emails on her phone, the same phone that had just played me like a fool. She looked up. "Did you sleep okay?" Her smile was warm. Her eyes were ice. I nodded. "Yeah, thanks for the coffee." We kissed. She walked out the door, and I stood there, wondering how long it had been since she meant any of it. I didn't go to work that day. Instead, I made a list. Not of the people I hated, but of the things I needed to do. 1. Learn everything. 2. Watch everything. 3. Control everything. The packages started arriving that week. Notebooks that looked like paperbacks. USB drives disguised as pens. Cameras the size of shirt buttons. Voice recorders thinner than my wedding band. GPS trackers small enough to fit in a lipstick tube. It was astonishing, really. The tools people invented to catch liars. I installed the first camera in our bedroom, hidden deep inside the decorative vent above the headboard. It had night vision, remote access, and a 180-degree view. Then came the living room, the kitchen, her home office, and finally, her car. The silver Range Rover I bought her on our 10th anniversary. I didn't feel like a man breaking trust. I felt like a man breaking free. 2 days later, I watched Vanessa from my laptop as she took a call in her office. She wore a deep burgundy blouse and lipstick to match. She twirled a pen between her fingers as she spoke. "Thursday at 8, she said. "I'll wear the black one." She smiled at something the person said, then added, "Lucas doesn't have a clue." I could walk in wearing another man's scent and he'd offer me a glass of wine. I paused the video, smiled, then pressed record. Tuesdays and Thursdays, those were her nights. Always the same routine. Gym bag, perfume, keys, lieutenant. Each time I watched her leave like clockwork, and each time I tracked her, the GPS ping leading me to that same boutique hotel, room 407. She was consistent, careless, predictable, which made her vulnerable. One Thursday evening, she came home earlier than expected, hair tousled, cheeks flushed, wearing a black dress I'd never seen before. She walked past the hallway mirror, paused, and tilted her head. She smiled at herself, adjusted her neckline, then whispered, "Perfect." The camera picked up everything. I saved the clip, labeled it, filed it away. I was building a case, not just for revenge, but for complete annihilation. Because what she didn't know, what he didn't know, was that I wasn't just a betrayed husband. I was a strategist, a numbers man, a detail-obsessed control freak with a 6-figure salary and nothing left to lose. Then came the night that changed everything. I was reviewing audio from her car, a conversation recorded just after one of their meetups. Nathan's voice was smug, teasing. "So, have you thought about the transfer yet?" Vanessa laughed. "Of course. He'll sign whatever I put in front of him. It's all in his name now, but not for long." Then her voice lowered, more serious. "Once the shares are under yours, we file." Quietly, with emotional instability cited, the house, the account, the company, we clean it. My heart stopped, not from pain, not from betrayal, but from sheer clinical rage. They weren't just cheating. They were planning to erase me. She was going to take everything, the house, the assets, my name, even my mental health, weaponized against me. And Nathan, he wasn't just a fling, he was a strategy. A hostile takeover. That was the night I added a 4th item to my list. 4. Ruin them both. No forgiveness. No mercy. No second thoughts. Only precision. Only poison. War doesn't begin with bullets. It begins with silence. And I had perfected the art of silence. After the night I heard their plan, the shares, the fake divorce, the gaslighting strategy, I didn't break. I sharpened. I watched Vanessa like a scientist watches a virus. She moved through the house with the grace of someone who believed she was winning. Coffee in the morning, lies in the afternoon, perfume in the evening, and every time she kissed me goodbye, I smiled. Because I already knew where she was going, and more importantly, who was watching. By now, my archive was growing, dozens of clips, whispers caught in passing, stolen glances through car windows, bank records, legal drafts, each lie, each betrayal, labeled, dated, backed up in 3 different encrypted drives. Then came the first message, sent from an anonymous email to Vanessa's law firm's internal ethics hotline. No name, just, check client account number 4287. Retainer adjustments don't match billing logs. Also, audit travel expense reports. Line 23. I didn't need them to fire her. I just needed them to look. 2 days later, another message. This time to Nathan's HR department. You should know about what happened at the Golden Crown Hotel last quarter. Security might still have footage. Room 407. Within a week, I saw the effects. Vanessa came home quieter. Nathan called more often. Their conversations became clipped, paranoid. She started triple-checking her phone. He started asking if someone was talking. They were unraveling, exactly as planned. Then came Clara Bell. It was a Thursday. I had just pulled up live surveillance from the kitchen cam. Vanessa was at work. I was reviewing footage from the previous night. Nathan and her in her office, talking softly, but not softly enough. Clara appeared in the frame, unscheduled, unexpected. She had dropped by the house, a work excuse maybe, some file Vanessa forgot. But instead of leaving, she lingered. Her eyes scanned the room. She looked up at the vent near the ceiling, right where the pinhole camera sat. And for a second, just 1 second, her expression changed. She knew. My heart seized. She looked directly into the lens. Then, without a word, she turned, walked out, and left the house. That night, I didn't sleep. Had I been caught? Would Clara go to Vanessa? Would this blow everything? The next morning, I opened my email. A message sat in my inbox. No subject, no signature, just 5 words. You're not the only one. And an attachment. It was an old HR complaint, stamped confidential, filed against Nathan Cross. Sexual harassment, dismissed quietly, settled silently. And the name at the bottom? Clara Bell. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I replied, "Meet me. No lies, no recording devices, just truth." She agreed. We met at a quiet coffee shop near the pier. Clara was sharp, focused, a woman who'd learned the cost of silence. "I recognized your camera," she said, cutting through the small talk. "I used the same model in my apartment after the firm shut down my complaint." I said nothing. She sipped her coffee. "I know about Vanessa, about Nathan. I know what they're planning." "Are you going to stop me?" I asked. "No," she said. "I'm going to help you." Her voice dropped lower. "You're not the only one who wants him ruined. Nathan's hurt people. He's not just a cheater, he's a predator. The firm protected him. Vanessa enabled him." She slid a folder across the table. Internal memos, misused client funds, screenshots of texts from Nathan to other women at the firm. "You give me your evidence," she said, "and I'll make sure it hits the right people, without it tracing back to you." I studied her. For the first time in weeks, I felt something close to trust. "I have a plan," I said, "but I could use a trigger." She smirked. "Good, because I brought matches." By the end of the meeting, we had a shared goal: burn them both to the ground. That night, Vanessa came home to roses on the table. She looked surprised. "What's the occasion?" she asked. I smiled. "Just wanted to remind you how much I appreciate everything you do." She blinked, then smiled back. "Ah, Lucas, that's sweet." She kissed me, and as her lips brushed mine, I whispered inside, "You won't see it coming. Not from me. Not from her. Not until the whole thing goes up in flames. There's a strange peace in knowing you've become the villain. As long as you're the villain with the final move." I told Vanessa I had a business trip in Chicago. 3 days, a conference, nothing important. She barely blinked. "Travel safe," she said, pressing a kiss to my cheek. There was no warmth in it, which was fine. There would be fire soon enough. Clara had done her part. 2 anonymous drops were already on their way. One to Vanessa's firm compliance team, client account irregularities. Another to Nathan's managing partners, harassment records, secret meetups, and footage of his off-site consultations. She had even slipped a rumor through the grapevine. Word is, someone's launching an internal audit. I didn't need them fired, just nervous, panicked, distracted. The day I left, I checked into a hotel across the city, set up my laptop, monitored the live feeds. At 7:34 p.m., a sleek black BMW pulled into my driveway. Nathan. Vanessa met him at the door in a silk robe. She was laughing. He kissed her before they even got inside. I watched them drink wine in my kitchen, sit on my couch, laugh beneath my ceiling. At 8:11 p.m., they moved upstairs. I closed the laptop, grabbed my bag, and drove home. The street was dark, silent. Nathan's car was still there, parked diagonally like a trophy. I parked 2 houses down, walked the rest. The front door was unlocked. Of course it was. They thought I was gone. Upstairs, the bedroom door was ajar. Light spilled into the hallway. I stepped inside. Vanessa gasped. Nathan jumped back, half-dressed. I stood calmly at the threshold. "Miss me?" I asked. Vanessa clutched the sheet to her chest. "Lucas, you said you were in Chicago?" I finished. "Yeah, that's the story you fed me, just like all the others." Nathan tried to speak. I raised a hand. "Don't. I'm not here for your apology. I'm here for your attention." I reached into my coat and pulled out my phone. Tapped once. The screen lit up. Multiple live feeds appeared. Bedroom, kitchen, office, car, every room, every conversation, every lie. They watched themselves on screen, frozen mid-laugh, mid-kiss, mid-betrayal. Vanessa's face drained of color. Nathan stepped forward. "Lucas, listen. This doesn't have to get ugly." I cut him off with a smile. "Oh, it already is." Then it happened. The moment I didn't expect. Nathan turned to Vanessa, eyes wide. "You told me he didn't suspect anything, that you had a plan, that you'd filed for the shares transfer already." I raised an eyebrow. "Shares?" Vanessa's lips trembled. I can explain." Nathan cut her off. "Tell him the rest. Tell him about the accident. You said we could make it clean. Car crash, no suspicion. You said he wouldn't suffer." The room froze. My heart slowed. Every sound faded. The air conditioning, the buzzing lamp, the rain outside. Only one word echoed. Accident. I stared at her. "You wanted to kill me?" Vanessa's mouth opened, closed. No words came out. "Not kill," she whispered. "Just remove. I didn't mean, but you planned it." I stepped closer, my voice like steel. "You planned to erase me, my name, my company, my life." She started crying. Nathan moved again, hands raised. "Lucas, we should just..." I pulled out the gun, small, black, unregistered, just for show. "Don't." He stopped. Vanessa gasped. "You're insane." I laughed softly. Number I'm prepared. Something you clearly underestimated. I tossed a thick envelope onto the bed. Inside, bank transfers, secret recordings, emails, legal drafts, video footage, the truth. Everything's already been sent out, I said. To your firm, to the press, to people who actually give a damn about ethics. Nathan's face paled. You're bluffing. I tapped Vanessa's phone on the nightstand. Go ahead, check the news. Vanessa grabbed it. Her hands shook. She scrolled, stopped. Her mouth opened. Silent scream. Scandal at Westlake and Bloom. Senior partner Vanessa Harrington named in embezzlement probe. Insider leaks tie associate Nathan Cross to misconduct cover-ups. Full footage pending release. She collapsed onto the bed. Nathan looked at me, jaw tight. You'll ruin everything. I nodded. That's the idea. Then I placed the gun on the bed, between them, and took a step back. How this ends, I said, is up to you. Vanessa reached for it first. Her hands were shaking. Nathan tried to stop her. They struggled, screaming, and as I walked down the stairs, a single gunshot echoed behind me. By the time the police arrived, I was sitting at a 24-hour diner, sipping coffee, alone, calm, watching the breaking news play across the TV. Tragic domestic incident at the Harrington residence, details developing. When the detective approached me, I stood up slowly. Mr. Harrington? I blinked. Is Vanessa okay? His eyes softened. We need you to come with us. I nodded. Of course. And as they walked me out, I smiled to myself. Because this was exactly how I'd planned it. The morning after the gunshot, the house at 1749 Maple Avenue was no longer a home. It was a crime scene. Yellow tape across the porch. A shattered wine glass on the stairs. 2 half-finished glasses of Cabernet still sitting on the nightstand. And a story. Half-whispered, half-invented, spreading like wildfire through the city. I sat in a diner 10 blocks away, sipping bad coffee, watching the news on a dusty flat screen. Developing story at Westlake and Bloom. Senior partner Vanessa Harrington and associate Nathan Cross named in explosive financial misconduct scandal. Domestic dispute at Harrington residence ends in gunfire. Anonymous footage leaked online shows graphic details of workplace affairs and manipulation. No one looked at me. No one recognized me. Just another man in a gray hoodie, hunched over a cup of caffeine and silence. My phone buzzed. Unlisted number. Encrypted line. I answered. All loose ends tied, a female voice said. Clara. News outlets? I asked. Federal firms, too. They'll be scrambling for weeks. And the partners? They're in emergency meetings. Cross is on leave. Vanessa's facing full investigation. I smiled. Thank you. You did the hard part, she said, then paused. Lucas, you sure about disappearing? Yes. Then, goodbye. Click. An hour later, I was at the airport. I carried nothing but a backpack, a burner phone, and a new passport under a different name. Michael Reed. Freelance writer, divorced, no kids, looking for peace. I boarded a flight to Lisbon, sat by the window, watched the clouds swallow the city behind me. My old life, gone. My name, burned. My pain, buried under 7 layers of encrypted digital evidence and a perfectly executed plan. I didn't look back. Portugal was warm that spring. The air carried salt and citrus. The villa I rented sat on a cliff overlooking the ocean. I shopped at the market every morning, cooked my own meals, read old books, pretended to write a novel, and for a while, that was enough. But then, the letter came. Not to my real name, not to my real address, but it found me anyway. Forwarded from a U.S. contact. Stamped from a correctional facility in Illinois. Return sender, Vanessa Harrington. There were dozens of pages inside, crumpled, smudged with what looked like tears. Some angry, some desperate, some heartbreakingly human. I know what I did. I know you'll never forgive me, but you need to know. I never stopped loving you. Even when I was destroying you, even when I chose him, I was lost, I was weak, I was scared. You were the best thing in my life, and I burned you down. I read them all, then tossed them into the fireplace, watched the paper curl, blacken, disappear into ash. Days passed, weeks, then a second message, this time from Clara. Subject line, you need to know. Body. Vanessa's gone. She took her life last night. She left a note. It was addressed to you. I read it once, then again, then closed my eyes. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no peace, no grief, just stillness. I didn't respond to Clara. I walked down to the shore. Let the water touch my feet. Let the sky change color above me. I had won. I had survived. I had escaped. But some part of me, some echo, still asked, was it worth it? And the ocean, like everything else, had no answer. Lisbon was quiet that morning. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that settles into your bones and forces you to sit with every version of yourself. The man you were, the monster you became, the shadow you now live as. I stood on the balcony of the villa, espresso in hand, watching the horizon fade into gold. It had been 6 months since I left the U.S., since the gunshot, since the headlines, since Vanessa. I hadn't spoken to anyone since Clara's last message. I didn't respond, didn't ask about Nathan, didn't ask about the funeral. Some ghosts are better left unburied. Most days I walked the coastline, bought oranges from an old couple at the market, wrote meaningless chapters of a book I never intended to finish. People here knew me as Michael Reed. A quiet man with kind eyes and a past no one asked about, and that was enough, most of the time. But sometimes, in the dark, I heard her voice, not the seductive one from the video, not the cold, rehearsed lawyer tone, the real one, from years ago, from Sunday mornings in our kitchen, from nights when the world was soft and simple and still ours. Lucas, do you think we'll grow old together? I never answered then, and now the silence was my reply. One evening, I received a message. No sender, no subject, just one sentence. He's in rehab. Off the grid. You broke him. Nathan. I stared at it for a long time. Not out of guilt, but out of calculation. Because in that moment, I realized I could finish the job. Make sure he never resurfaced. Make sure he disappeared completely. But I didn't. Because some wars don't end when your enemy falls. They end when you stop fighting. Weeks later, I found myself writing again. Not about revenge, not about Vanessa, but about the boy at the cafe who waves at me every morning. The cat that sleeps on my porch. The taste of olive oil that reminds me that life can still surprise you. Maybe it was healing. Maybe it was just noise, but it was mine. Then, one rainy afternoon, a letter arrived. Not from the States, not from Clara. It was unsigned. Inside was a photo. Vanessa, at the beach, smiling. It was dated 3 years ago. On the back, in handwriting I didn't recognize. She wasn't always a villain, and neither were you. I placed the photo face down, and for the first time in months, I wept. Not because I missed her, not because I regretted anything, but because some truths are too heavy to carry and too sharp to set down. I never told anyone what really happened. Not the full story, not the details, not the endings. I let the world write its own version. Cheating wife, crazy husband, corporate scandal, domestic tragedy. Let them have their headlines. Because the truth lived here, in this silence. And silence, I learned, is a kind of peace. I walked to the fireplace that night, lit a match, burned the last of the evidence, the files, the backups, the letters I never sent, everything that tied me to the man I used to be. Ashes. Gone. Outside, the waves roared, not to threaten me, but to remind me that no matter what you burn, no matter who you become, the tide always comes back.